Hi y'all, welcome back to the garden. It's been a couple weeks since I planted up the containers, so I wanted to take y'all around and show you all those, but also show you the front garden. I need to come out here probably tomorrow and pull some weeds, and then I'm going to do my mulching for the season. There's some nutsedge in this bed. We struggle with nutsedge. I don't know if it's an Ohio thing. I don't remember it that much in Alabama, but clay soil holds a lot of water and nutsedge thrives in wet conditions, and it's really difficult to eradicate by pulling because it produces these little things underground, kind of like alliums do, and if you don't get it and its entire roots, it will come back with a vengeance. So there are some sprays that you can use. The best one that I've found is one called Sedge Hammer. It comes in a little packet and you mix 1 gallon at a time. The treatments aren't necessarily like super cost effective though. It does take some work. And so I'm going to try, and since it rained today, I'm probably going to try and hand pull what I can because there's quite a lot down here. You can see all of that here. The worst thing about it is it's such a limey color that it just looks really bad. Also, I am working with a new microphone after 4.5 years doing YouTube. The little styrofoam or the little, cover for the microphone on my last microphone gave up the ghost in one of my last videos, and it was, with how windy our springs are, I need something to protect from wind. Can only do so much in post-production. But I also wanted to show you the roses here. This is Rise Up 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 from Proven Winners, looking stunning. It's holding its blooms for a good while. Like these blooms that are the most open have been here for several days. I took some photos of this arch and posted them on Instagram a few days ago, and they're still there. And there's more ones open and still a lot of buds left on it. It's roughly, I got up there, it's like 7.5, approaching 8 foot tall now. Hopefully by the end of the season we can reach the top of the arch there. The temperatures here are also really cool, and I know a lot of the Midwest, like even the South, have had some instances where we're like 20 degrees colder than average here. That also happened in February, and then we got warm in March, which pushed all the plants along early, in my opinion, and then now we're cool again, and some things have kind of slowed down. Things that would normally be blooming by now, like a lot of my roses, except for that one because it's against the brick, I've gotten almost no buds on. You know, I had to cut them back pretty hard. They have buds, they've not bloomed yet. So the Poet's Wife, which is one I did not cut back, which I might be able to show you today, it's got lots of blooms on it still. It was one of the nicest ones to bloom because I didn't have to do any cutback. But for all the others that had a whole lot of damage during winter, there was a lot of cutback needed. I've also planted all my annuals. Everything is planted in the ground except for like 6 geums that I got in today from Heirloom Roses. So I got to find somewhere in this front border for them because I love geums. Can't really find them locally, so getting them online is a really good option. I don't think I discussed, it's been a while since I shot a video up here. It doesn't seem like that long probably to you because I think it was posted a little later, but I've got the annuals planted in this bed. So we have a 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲. This is a pink 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 here, and then around it I have some sun patience, and this is orchid blush, compact orchid blush, which I planted here, just orchid blush last year, and it looked really beautiful. So things are not progressing as quickly in the ground because it's been so cool, but something that looks really nice this year are all of these tiny quick fire hydrangeas. These are a hydrangea paniculata. They only get, you know, a couple feet tall and wide, and the reason I'm excited is because these were planted in 2023, and then we had some contractors at the house, and they ran over this flower bed leaving one day, and these were broke off to the ground, these front two, and they've come back. Like this one's almost as big as, or bigger than some of the ones that didn't get damaged. So I'm excited about that, and they're going to look really pretty. This one's all budded up. This is a paniculata also. The quick fire series blooms earlier. So just a little indicator there, but I also like how dark the leaves are on this particular variety. Dark green. So we're starting to get some blooms off of this lantana. This is pink, luscious pink berry blend, so you can see what that's going to look like. These will get really big, of course, and they're all planted around this storm-proof hydrangea here. So I'm hoping after it actually heats up, because the lantanas like the heat, we'll have some nice blooms in this area. I'm hoping, we are supposed to warm up quite a bit next week, so that will push some things along, including any remaining crabgrass I have in the bed. So most of the areas are pretty weed free. It seems like most of the weeds I'm battling are on that side of the bed. Not sure why. It may just be because it's next to the sidewalk, but you can see I've got a lot of, looks like crabgrass breakthrough right here on the edge. And so I can come through and get rid of that fairly quickly with a rake and just pull it up before it gets too big, because if I leave that and it gets really hot, I'll come back to the garden and it'll grow very quickly and be difficult to remove. So I also came through and trimmed up all my boxwoods. So they're closer to spheres. It's kind of hard because I left these and I did not trim them last year just so they could bulk up. But I wanted to trim them this year to start to develop some branching. So they're not perfect in some areas, but you just kind of got to prune on your boxwoods to the shape that you want them to be for several seasons. And then they'll get to a point where they look more shapely. The coral bells or heuchera are also growing in nicely and starting to bloom. You can leave these blooms. They're real dainty after they bloom. Nice for pollinators. They're real tiny. But you can also come through and cut those back just like hostas after they're done blooming, or if you just don't like the blooms, you could do that now. But I really like how they've come in. I think this spot looks really nice as it's continued to develop. Because we've had cooler weather, I've been keeping an eye on the hydrangea trials, and I've been marking them as I've been checking, not every day, but every couple days I'll come out here if I'm just in the area and look and see if there's any blooming that were not blooming last time I was out here, and I'm annotating it in the spreadsheet that I was tracking in the video I did. But because it's been so cool, the progress on them flushing out has slowed tremendously. So it was cool, but we also didn't really get any rain. I've been irrigating a little bit, but that cool weather has also been helpful because it's allowed some of the plants that I planted over the past couple weeks to really kind of root in and settle in before we get this hot weather over the next week. But I'm seeing some blooms on some that I had not marked yet, so I need to come out here and do that. I'm also seeing chlorosis on one down here, and it is, I can't remember the name of it. It's Starfield, I think is the name of it. It was one I really fell in love with last year, and even though I treated these with EDDHA chelated iron, this is still showing signs of chlorosis. And I noted this in my spreadsheet about a week ago and said I'd keep an eye on it. I'm probably going to end up treating this one individually again, and at least watering in at the root zone since we've not had a whole lot of rain. You can still see some of that sulfur that I spread around this area, and hopefully that will kick up and resolve those areas, because it's probably not going to do much more growth if it's already facing signs of chlorosis. So I'll probably do that sometime this week, and that way I'll note it in the chart that this one may just need or be more, prone to chlorosis, and we can get that resolved and trapped. But we're also seeing, I've lost at least one Monrovia variety. This is one of the prettiest ones, unfortunately, and it was also a pretty price, $60. No signs of growth. I'm not expecting, this is Seaside Serenade Fire Island. I'm not expecting it to come back. I will probably just dig it up. I'll just leave it for another month, and then I'll probably just dig it up. There was also one proven winners variety over here. It was Let's Dance Blue Jangles. Also does not appear to have come back, so that will also be one that I'll just probably leave and then dig it up at a later time, and probably not replace anything immediately. There's always new hydrangeas coming to the market, so I can add it in this spot. It's not surprising that I lost one considering how many varieties I planted, but it's a little surprising given all the others did great and survived winter in this area, although they did suffer a lot of dieback. You just never know. So some of them are coming along really nicely, and others are still taking their time to wake up. While we're around here, before we head to look at the containers, I'm going to show you where I placed all of my remaining heirloom roses. I'm going to be going out there soon to Oregon and visiting their facilities again, but this is 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲. So I kind of put her next to the sedum and this birch leaf spirea here. I think it'll mingle kind of nicely and still close to the edge. Roses can get a little taller, and so they're probably more of a mid to back of the border plant, but I don't want to have to trape through my garden to smell them or prune on them, so I like to put them at the edge. I mean, there's plenty of plants everywhere in this space to see and see around them, but I still like to keep them close to the edge. Olivia Rose Austin is over here, and it's actually budded up. I think of the ones I was sent out, it's going to be one of the first to bloom, which is nice because these roses were completely defoliated when they were delivered. Oh, a little update on these elephant ears. This is Polar Green. It is a hardy variety of elephant ear here for Ohio, and considering, I think it's supposed to be hardy down to zone 5. Considering how cold we got this winter, they got a late start, but they're coming up with a vengeance. This was one plant last year. I'm probably going to end up dividing them and putting them elsewhere in the garden because they can get pretty big. They didn't their first year, but now that they've had a year to settle in, I'll probably pull the ones off this end and maybe even some from there and put them elsewhere in the garden. I forgot. They were taking so long to come up that I forgot I planted them. And I planted them in 3 different areas in this border. I bought 3 plants. There's one here, and then there's one next to the 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 lilac down there. And I probably will have to remove them completely because I forgot when I planted the lilac there. This is Queen of Sweden. Queen of Sweden stays very narrow, so I planted her right here, still close enough where I could take some smells from the sidewalk. I am getting some grow back on my Sweet and Low Sarcococa. This is the first one I planted. I think it was planted in fall 2023. So the ones I planted in 2024 do not appear to be coming back, at least from the main. I mean, they're still green down here. You can see that green growth under there. So maybe they just have a late start. So I'm not digging these up. They'll probably come back fine, but they're just having a really, really late start. And then of course, some nutsedge there. So you can see what a problem I have with that. And given that I've had such a hard problem with weeds in this bed, it's just something, all of that was grass in fall 2023. It's just something you have to deal with until you have mulched for enough years that those weed seeds are just kind of gone. And even then you'll still have some weeds here and there. I got a lot of questions at my last garden of people like, I never see you have any weeds. And I had been mulching very heavily those areas and those beds for quite a while before I started my YouTube channel. And so consistent mulching practices help with that weed reduction and prevention. The Southern Living plant collection and plant by number video that I did, the plants are looking really good here. Settling in, they're happy. It's been a little cooler, which is nice. They're on drip irrigation, which has been working well. And I'm really liking how this bed is going to turn out, I think. There's going to be a lot of pretty white flowers. I'm really excited about that white wedding hydrangea though. All right, to orient you here, we are at the shrub border around the pool fence, and I planted Louise Clemens. No, this is Loves Me, Loves Me Not. Louise Clemens I planted up front. I'll have to take you back up there and show you where I planted her. But this has really nice pink blooms on it, so it's going to be right here next to the gate for all sorts of people to smell. It's time for me to come through and pull out and cut down tulips. I'm also going to cut down daffodils. So people will tell you to leave the daffodil foliage, just let it die back. I do not like to mulch and still have daffodil foliage above the ground. If you leave the foliage longer, there's a greater chance that your daffodils will absorb more energy and return the next year. I've not seen that that's like a problem. And given how cool our weather has been, I could have daffodil foliage to the end of June. They don't start dying down until it gets warm, and they're not showing any signs of stopping in my garden, and it's the end of May. So I always cut mine back around this time of year before I mulch. Never had any problems. Don't necessarily follow my advice. Do as I say, not as I do. But you get the point. Daffodils are typically hardy enough around here that cutting them back early has not been detrimental to any of mine. If you watched last July, August, I planted a tree here. It's a Styrex from Proven Winners called Starway to Heaven. This Styrex it appears to be completely dead, the top of it, but it's very, very healthy at the base. So I'm going to give this a couple more weeks. It looks like there was some cracking here on the stem now that I'm down here at the bottom, so that might be why it died, but I'm going to cut it back to the ground and leave all of these suckers, is what I would probably consider them, to take over, and it'll be a nice tree, a low branch tree, basically. It's a really beautiful Styrex. You can see the new foliage is dark here, and it produces star shape instead of ballerina shaped flowers. Most snowbells look like the little ballerina skirts. This one kind of opens up, and it's a reblooming Styrex, so that'll be pretty. It did bloom for me last year in the fall after I got it planted, but this winter was rough. I've got a couple other things that are not looking great, including a dogwood I'll show you as we go around here. The 9 barks that I cut back are looking amazing. You can see this nice red growth here. I don't know what varieties these are. I think they're a first editions variety. First edition shrubs and trees, but that was really a nice cutback for those. They're looking really nice, especially next to this blue shadow 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲. I really like that color. And then we have another one of the birch leaf spirea down here. So red, blue, yellow. I'm not seeing any action on this 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 here. I've got 2 of them. I've got 3 of them. 2 of them did not make it. I'm probably going to pull those up at a later date. You can see why I know they're can be a little late to wake up, but this is one that is clearly dead. And this is one I cut back that is clearly not and looks amazing. So I'm going to remove the 2 in the shrub border and replace them or not with something else this year. And after I get the front fully mulched, I'm going to start on this bed here and extending it properly. But I wanted to show you the rest of these roses. So I got one down here. Do I have the tag? I also put some of this mint compost down from Heirloom Roses. I don't remember what variety this is, so I got a bug in here. But I planted one here between this crabapple because I planted a really interesting hydrangea here called Blue Bunny, and it did not appear to survive winter either. So I wanted to fill that space, and then 2 more roses. One here, which is Top Cream, so it's the white variety. And then Delish. Delish said it would get so big that I planted it at the back here, and it can grow up around this other 9 bark. That's the same variety as that other one. And I don't know that there's much else in here. There's an azalea. This is the deciduous azalea. It looks incredible. The evergreen azaleas I have look a little rough, but this one is putting on a ton of growth this spring. This is it Bright Lights or Electric Lights? Do I still have it in here? Something pink. You can still, it's got blooms in here. Electric Lights Double Pink. Still got some blooms. Really beautiful. Bloomed really nicely for me too. So success with an azalea, even if it is deciduous here in Zone 6, Southwest Ohio. I'm loving these spireas too. One of them is Dolly. Double Play Dolly. I think that one's Dolly. And this one is Double Play Doozy, maybe, just based on how many blooms. I mean, look how many blooms. It's already opened and is continuing to produce. Doozy, I believe, is a triploid, and that means it doesn't set seed, and so it just constantly, yeah, Double Play Doozy. It constantly produces flowers throughout the season because it's not putting that energy into seed production. I do want to show you all the clear winner for this season though for hydrangea blooms or jumpstart in the spring. It is bloom struck, endless summer bloom struck. I did have this one at my last property and it did reliably rebloom for me, although I did get them off the Home Depot death rack, and so that took them a long time to recover. Endless Summer and Bailey sent these out to me last year, so they were really healthy to begin with. And let me tell you, I mean, you can see how many buds and how many blooms it's going to have here soon. You can see they're starting to open. It'll be really close. We're really close here to see whether these are going to be blue or going to be pink. I'm probably betting on pink, even though I've treated them. Those look a little pink. They could be a little purple. Bloomstruck also has nice red stems, but out of all the Macrophylla hydrangeas on the property and the ones I've planted the past year, these are the ones that are most progressed. Kind of weird to me that they're this far along, but they're killing it. All right, let's take a look at some containers. I've got my first cherry tomatoes too, by the way. They're not ready yet, of course, but they're looking amazing and I'm really excited about it. I'm also really loving how this bed is coming along. I know I just planted it like literally 2 weeks ago, but it's looking really nice. Got to come through and remulch this bed too with some fresh wood chips now that I've dug in it and got mud everywhere. All right, the pool is uncovered, even though there's not anywhere near going to be able to swim in it, considering it's so cold. But we had a lot of rain today. Some of the flowers look a little rough from the rain, but this one is filling in nicely. I've not watered these Crescent Garden containers since I put all this stuff in them. Last year, when I originally got the True Drop, I talked about maybe having to water these in a couple weeks to get them established, or a couple days to get them established till they root in. I didn't do that last year and they did fine, and I didn't do that this year. So after you plant them, get them full with water, water them in initially, you don't have to touch them again, which is nice, except for refilling and fertilizing. So they have filled in incredibly in the past 2 weeks. I don't know what is in that Proven Winners fertilizer. This one looks even better than the other one. So we've got Prince Tut, Supertunia Bermuda Beach, and Supertunia Saffron Finch, and this is going to be really pretty. You can't even see soil in these already, and we've got Blue Suede, Rocky and Blue Suede Shoe Salvia, Supertunia Bordeaux, and this potato vine is new this year, so I don't know offhand. Let's see. Sweet Caroline Medusa Black. I really like the serrated leaves, but it's wild that these have filled in this much already, even though it's been as cold as it's been. The lantanas aren't doing much, but they have like grown to the edge of the pot already. If you remember a couple weeks ago when I put that video out, it may have only been a week ago now, they were at least about here, and you can see they are starting to put out some blooms. So maybe here on the concrete where it's a little warmer, they're performing a little better than in the ground. And then all of this Silver Surfer dichondra is starting to creep around as well. So these are looking really good too. Check this one out. I really love this one. This is the White Knight Lobularia, that new blue, what's it called? We've got Laguna Royale Blue Pearl Lobelia, and then this butterfly, golden butterfly, Marguerite Daisy. And I think this color combination is stunning. And this has completely filled out the container too in 2 weeks. So you can imagine what it's going to look like in another 2 weeks. I did come through and plant out my crescent nest with some Silver Surfer dichondra and a white, I think this is pure white. I didn't order this, but one was sent with the butterfly, the golden butterfly. So I thought it'd be nice to have a standout here to trial some more of that potato vine, and then just some coral geraniums here that I have also tucked into this bed. I did get this bed mulched because I came and pressure washed this entire area around the pool yesterday. This one is also looking stunning. We have some of the Mini Vista series here. This is the, pull out the tags, this is why I do this. Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Cloud and Royale Azure Laguna Lobelia. So also a very blue abelia, but a little different color. This one doesn't have as much of the white center, but I like this combination here. This is also an Agastaki. This is the yellow. Do I have a tag for it? I don't see one, but it's Maestro the Maestro series, new for next year as well. This lemon coral sedum has basically taken over before this truffle of pink gomphrena can get going. So you can see how quickly these grow and how happy they are in containers. I don't think I showed y'all, but I did put some Supertunia Vista bubblegum in the hay racks that I used to have at the last house. So these will just cascade over. I didn't have the cocoa fiber liners. I thought I had saved them when we moved, but I just used some burlap sacks and put soil in them because I figured in a few weeks you're not going to be able to see that these are burlap anyway. And I don't think it looks that bad. It's not much different than cocoa fiber, and like I said, it'll be covered with pink blooms here in a couple weeks and you won't notice. Now I intentionally planted this one really full, but it looks so good already. This is the chocolate drop coleus, and then this is just some waxwing begonias. And then you can see the indicator here on this Flex, True Drop Flex self-watering container. It means the center part's gone, which means it's could use some water. Doesn't have to have water yet. This other indicator will drop when it needs water, but that doesn't mean all the water's out. It just means the water may not be accessible to the plants if they're not rooted through the container into the water. So, but it's been 2 weeks and I've not put any more water on these, so that's a good indicator of how long these will last. It's been a little cooler weather. When it gets hot, you'll have to do that more often, obviously, depending on the plants that are in the containers, as well as just their exposure to sun and precipitation. So I really like this container. I did not plant it up on video for you. This is one I planted after the fact with some leftovers that I had. We have another blue suede shoes salvia in here. I put it close to the windows here so maybe we could see some hummingbirds when we're inside. There's another scaevola in here. This one's, is it whirlwind white? Let's see, whirlwind white. And then we have Silver River Didelta. And I love this color combo because we got the grays and the silvers with the greens and the whites. And these are going to have blue blooms on them. It's going to be really nice. If we turn around here, I have one more container up here. This is really nice because I can put these on the patio. I don't have to worry about dragging a hose every day to water them. And then we can have a little pretty decorative flower arrangement outside the kitchen door. So this is Supertunia Bordeaux in here. Then we have, this is another Maestro series here. Southern Blaze Bright Pink Phlox, so it's an annual phlox, and then Maestro Coral Agastache here in the center. So you can see I've kind of played off all the colors in here. These calyxes for these blooms are a little dark mahogany to purple, which pair nicely with the Supertunias, and this phlox here pairs nicely with the actual bloom from the Agastache. And then something I don't know that I've showed y'all either are these baskets here. I purchased these from Garden Artisans as well as the hooks. So the hooks I got from Garden Artisans, and I looked everywhere for baskets that I wanted. And I ordered them from 2 different places and they were back ordered. And they were back ordered until like the end of June. I'm like, that's not gonna work. So I ordered from one location, they back ordered, canceled, ordered from another, and they back ordered, and so I canceled that one, and so I just reordered the baskets also from Garden Artisans. I try and buy commercial metal products because these are not powder coated. They're actually coated in like a PVC vinyl material, so they're not going to rust. And so I also have drip irrigation on this pole. So this pole was put here last year, and y'all probably thought, what an awkward location to put a pole. But there was no irrigation or water hose back here in the backyard after the pool was installed 20 or so years ago. There's only hoses on the sides of the house. And so I ran water to this post to put a hose here to refill the pool and also just have access to like water the lawn or the garden back here. And I also put up a dog watering station. And then after I got these pots in, I put an automatic irrigation valve here as well. But in here is Supertunia Vista Bubblegum and Carolina Sweetheart Lime Sweet Potato Vine, and I have them kind of alternating. So Supertunia Vista Bubblegum's on this side, and on over here it's on the other side. So If I don't like that, I can turn them mid-season. These are 17-inch containers, by the way. I had originally ordered like 24-inch, and then after I got these in, I'm like, these are perfect. 24 would have been way too big. So I like them. It looks more like I dreamed about last year, but was not able to get to doing in time. This is a multi-function post as well. There's also a hanger here for like a speaker that we have for the pool, and I don't know that I'll put anything else on the other side, but you can see the little irrigation line here is tacked up using these black holders, and it's almost invisible there unless you're looking for it. You'd never know. So the rose wall that I started last year is looking okay. A lot of these had to be cut to the ground as well. There were very few. In fact, I don't know that I kept any branches because they also died way back. The roses this year are nice and big and full. We've had rain, of course, so it looks a little rough. But like, look at this. This is 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 𝗦𝘂𝗯𝘀𝗰𝗿𝗄. We've had some pretty heavy storms though. And before, some of these canes were strong or tall enough to attach to the trellis, which I need to come through and do over the next week. I had several canes snap, and so there's several here that are pretty bare, and like here's one right here that looks like the cane snapped just from winds we've had today. So this is a pretty exposed area, which I didn't really think about, but like this one right here, a bunch of the cane snapped off of it. See, here's a cane that broke that I'll just have to pull off or cut off. No, it's separated completely. So some issues with, of course, windy weather, but otherwise they're coming along. Those up there at the front especially are looking really nice, and a whole lot of blooms on these yet. But I got these T-post sprinklers from Dram that are new this year. I purchased online, and the grass is coming along okay. This was bare dirt and crabgrass last year, so if there's actual real grass here, that is a success in my book. But lots of beautiful roses. Here's some more over here. It's getting dark, but I wanted to show you all this because I don't think I've showed you this year yet, but check those out. Really pretty. All right, by this time you will have seen me install a hydrangea hedge, a flowerful hydrangea hedge at a family member's house. Here's the progress of mine. Look at the number of blooms. These were planted as 1 gallons last July, late July. I planted them and I got them, Bailey gave them to me at Cultivate, and I brought home 5 of them. So I planted 5 just like I planted at the family member's home, and these look incredible. Like, I can't believe they've grown this much in 9 months. You know, it's amazing. When I originally planted my smooth hydrangeas at my last home, they were 3 gallons, and it took them several years before they looked really nice. But Flowerful just produces so many branches and blooms. These are going to be awesome looking, I think, this year. So keep an eye out for these, and I'll show you lots of updates this season. This is the northwest side of the house, so they're protected from sun most of the day. They do get evening sun, which is probably not as preferable. And there's been a little bit of drooping earlier a few weeks ago, just because they're getting settled in still. And they needed some water because we haven't had any rain despite the cooler nights. Just because it's cool doesn't mean that your plants don't need water if they're newer and not fully established yet. But you can just see, I'm so proud of how these look. This bed also needs some mulch. It's probably going to be difficult to keep mulch on it because it's on a hill. And so the mulch is probably just going to continuously want to wash away on me, but we'll do the best we can. This is probably one of my favorite containers from the Crescent Garden True Drop Pinch that I got last year. It's so pretty, and it's just begonias, dichondra, and there's another begonia back here. So there's a waxwing. I don't know the remember of this one is. It's like petticoat coral or something. And then the Silver Surfer dichondra. But like, look at that. So nice. It's getting dark, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. I'm doing this video late today and it's getting cool. But this is Uptown Girl. Uptown Girl was also one of the shorter varieties from Heirloom. It was really pretty. It's a nice pink coral, that perfect color that I love so much. And I planted it here at the front of the border next to these hydrangeas, these tiny quickfire that I mentioned, as well as a storm-proof hydrangea behind it. So that is the improved version of 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 from Proven Winners here. So we'll be able to see how those perform. There's one here, there's one down there, and there's one that I have not decided on where to plant yet. I think it'll go in the new flower bed that I talked about in the back shrub border, just so I'll have one back there to compare as well, because I have several of the flowerful back there in those borders too. All right, we're gonna finish where we started. Thank y'all for joining me for this video, and remember, be a light. Take care. Bye.